Good morning, everybody. Mr. Bear here. It is Friday morning at 8:12 a.m. The market is going to open in about 18 minutes. We have the Nasdaq futures contract up. If you're new to the channel, we only trade the Nasdaq futures contract. As always, we're going to start with higher time frames and work our way down to see what we have going on in the market. We're going to start with the weekly chart. It is Friday, so it's just a good idea to see what we've got going on at the end of the week. If you're not sure what chart we're on, you can always look up in the upper left corner where we've labeled, or even down at one of the tabs where we've got each one of them labeled. So we're in the third week here. Some selling action we've got going on. Just looking bearish, no signs of any bulls coming in, but we may be coming into some support down here at the 20 SMA on the weekly. You can see down here the 20 SMA on the weekly has provided some support. Somebody once asked, what's the best moving average to put in your chart? And another trader, not me, answered whichever one price is reacting to. So sometimes you'll see some traders throw up just a ton of moving averages, and they're looking to see which one price respects. Here we can see price does respect the 20 SMA on the weekly. We see we can see it acting as resistance over here, acting as support over here. Will it act as support over here? Let's see. It still has some room if we're actually using it. I mean, there's a lot of wiggle room on it, right? So we got through it over here. It may, spike through it. You may wick through it. It may come down to 14,500 wick through, and we may close above it today. That would be interesting. Very similar situation to what happened over here. But of course, we can't predict what the market's going to do. We're just going to react to what it does. I'm just trying to take a guess. So yeah, I think it's got some room, a little more room to the downside. It's pretty minuscule, but that's, 75 points away still. 75 points is quite a lot. We'll draw this out on our chart. This line will pop up on all my other charts. So if I'm trading off a 5-minute intraday, this line will be there, and I'll be like, man, why did I put that line on there? I'm like, oh yeah, that's the 20 SMA on the weekly. Be careful of that. You can also just draw like a little counter trend line like that. And the only way that I would be looking to buy this thing is if we broke this trend line, and then you might be looking at a move back to the upside. But right now, bears are in control, and it looks like we're pushing down. So let's see what else we can find here. Let's move down to a daily chart. Oops, I got that on the same chart there. Let's move down to a daily chart. I mean, look at these daily candles, guys. Down, 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 right? All week we've been selling. Had a little bit of a reprieve here on Monday. It looked like to try to make a feeble attempt of a move up, but just couldn't do it. So overall bearish. We do have a supporting line coming in. I had this drawn out yesterday. We've actually kind of broken through this support channel. Very bearish sign. We've had a couple touches on it over here. So that kind of validated that trend line for us. We broke into the downside on it. Coming down now into this zone. So it does have some more room. I think it could fall. Again, about 75 more points to the downside. Of course, if you just jumped in on it here, you may have to endure quite a bit of drawdown in the market open, but it is something to keep in mind. We can zoom out a little bit more. And, these demand zones down here, perhaps, I don't know. Demand zones, support zones, I don't know. I think people create buzzwords to, it's just support. Create buzzwords to sell some courses or to get people to click on videos or sell people new ideas that'll make them rich. But support and resistance, trend lines, those are pretty tried and true, and risk management is really what you want to go for. All right, so we got that zone down there, that area of support. Price is probably going to want to get sucked down into it. Let's move down to a 4-hour real quick. These are just all of our higher time frames. We've got these Bollinger Bands up here. We're just pushing through the bottom of that band. I think it's gonna find some sort of bounce here. Yesterday we had a really nice trade. If you haven't checked out that video, I definitely would recommend it. On the break of this price action right here, or the break of this support, I should say, right there. Sometimes when I'm talking into the microphone, things just come out. They're not very well thought. It's not, So anyways, we got the support level here. broke right through it and just dropped. Took a pretty nice short on it. I'm not seeing that same setup going on over here. You maybe could have short this support level right there to take it down. This nice bearish candle coming in as we break that low with the Bollinger Band opened up. That's a nice trade right there. That's 40 points or so that you could have gotten on that. Of course, that's pre-market. I wasn't even looking at the market at that time, but that would have been a nice little trade. It looks really minuscule here, but again, that's 19 down to 30. I mean, that's almost what is that? Almost 70 points on that. 19 down to 50, I would say. But of course, I wasn't looking at the market at the time. Let's now move down to some hourlies. Hourly. This is going to give us more intraday stuff. Low volume node coming in right here. This is a weekly volume profile. It's also the backside of this channel, this support trend line that we drew out over there on the daily. You can see it right here. What was support may now become resistance. So you may see price pop back up and retest the backside of the support level, support trend line. There's also that low volume node, which we just pointed out right there. We have VWAP up here at 712. So I would say something around 700. If you're looking to go short, you may get an impulse up to 700, and then it may fall back down again. Let's see here. Yeah, I'll keep that right there. I'm going to take off this blue box because it's just going to screw up my visuals when the market opens. See if we can find anything else on here. These are all weekly volume profiles, guys. You can just see how kind of the yellow line is point of control. You see how point of control is just dropping each week. I'm trying to find like a resistance trend line. That's way too far away. There's no way it's coming up to that. Yeah, I mean, we're kind of just trading down here, right? I think 66, kind of where it's pushing off of this low volume, no ledge right here, edge. It's going to be, I think, something important. 66, and then it's got more up at 700. I would be looking for that impulse to the upside, and we could drop down to a 5-minute. And these are those levels we just drew out. Yeah, somewhere up here at the top of the band on the 5-minute. Here at 70. If you got an impulse up to this might be an interesting area to try to take a stab at a short. And then you've got another resistance zone here. Then, of course, VWAP is going to be a resistance zone. So, I think your target on it, looking to take a short, obviously. And I think your target on it would be down there in this area at 14.577. So probably looking for that impulse up and then looking for some breaker structure to the downside to try to take a short on it. So those are the levels that I'm looking at this morning. And we'll just let the market open, and there's probably going to be some tug of war at the beginning. I suspect we'll probably get an impulse to the upside, and that might give you an opportunity to get in on a short. But what we've seen each morning this week is I've come in and the market's kind of given us a clear sign which direction it wants to go. So, for instance, this morning we're way below VWAP. We're trading 60 points below VWAP. We're already over 0.5% gapping down, and Delta's moving way lower. So those are all bearish signs to me. So I have my bearish bias. Yesterday, it looked like it was a bullish day, and what did we do? We dropped down. The day before that, it looked very bearish, and we popped up before we made a big move to the downside. So this thing's kind of giving mixed signals, and I think trapping bulls and bears, and then those guys are getting squeezed out, and market's making an opposite move. And then we finally crashed down. So I'm going to let it move around for a little bit and try to find an opportunity once it's kind of that tug of war at the beginning has settled down. So, all right, market's going to open in about 9 minutes. I'm going to fill up my coffee mug, and we will see what happens. Okay, guys, taking a short here at that first level that we marked out in pre-market. See if we get a move out of it or not. You can see Delta moving down, so it's a decent sign. Take the scalp on the open. We can see I was actually away from my computer when the market opened, but we had that impulse up to it, and we poked through it a little bit, and then we just complete rejection of it. We've made a second attempt over here at it, and I took a short, obviously. Stop is right above the session high when session has only been open for 8 minutes, and got out here. Maybe could have held it longer, but I don't know. Just the market open. The market's going to be whipping around a little bit, so probably going to let it move for another 7 minutes. 8:45. I'll take a look and see if we can find anything. But this is kind of a double band strategy, I call it, where we hit either the top or the bottom. Pull up a pen. If the top or the bottom of the 5 minute and the 1 minute Bollinger Bands coincide and price comes up to that, I'm looking for weakness and typically try and take a short on it. And then you've got a real easy stop, which is just, right up here. Sometimes you can take trades based just on how easy your stop can be identified and if it's a good risk reward trade or not. And on this one, it got in as we saw this wick. Saw this wick, saw that wick on the 500 volume, saw Delta kind of going flat, then it's dropping down a little bit. But it's the market open, so it's just a scalp. All right, let's see if we can sit on our hands for more than 3 minutes and try to find another opportunity. Okay, guys, so we jumped into another trade here. I couldn't make it to 8:45. I just couldn't do it. You're going to notice it says 2 contracts down here. I'm actually on micros. I'm on micros because I don't have an absolute ton of conviction in this trade. But when I switched over to a 2000 tick chart, I saw this massive low volume node in the overnight volume profile. And I could see just a clear level of resistance. Price was up here and I was about ready to get in, and then we just dropped. And I saw this bearish candle on the 2000 tick over here, and I was like, man, do not chase price. Do not chase price. Because I knew we might get another test back up here, which it's trying to do a little bit. So sometimes what you can do is just to get in the trade, just take a small position. So mentally, you're in it, and you don't have that FOMO, but you're also not risking a whole ton. So switch over to micros. You can see over here it says MNQ. That just means it's micros, not minis. If you're not familiar with what micros are, it's 1/10 of the size. So you can see we're up a whopping $6, but that's okay because the price comes up here, I'm going to add to it, and I might be able to scale into one full contract position. But this is just kind of mentally allowing me to move this stop up a little bit like that. I mean, if I take a 50-point stop on this, it's $100. It's not a big deal. Or $200 maybe. And now I'm able to maybe add to it up here at this level, which is where I really should be getting in on it. I can add to it there. It's looking more and more bullish, but I mean, not bullish. It's looking more and more bullish, like on price action, kind of like it looks like it wants to push up. But when I look at the volume profile here and I see that big LVN, I just don't think it's gonna happen. I think if you wanted to be conservative with your get out there at 33, I think it might pop that back down to 32. Coming into some support here where it previously found support. I'm looking at what it wants to do over here. Also look at Bookmap. See how it's rejected off these orders up here. We're a positive delta on Bookmap for the session. I don't know. This thing has been really giving mixed signals all week, Big level of liquidity here. I don't know if it's going to want to come up and engage those. Not. Trading the P&L a little bit now. You're like, man, that $100 sounds kind of nice. Just take the $100 on those four micros. But that level up there looks pretty strong. This is a horrible risk reward, but remember, I'm maybe going to add to it if it pops up to 76. And then maybe even add to it again once we got up to VWAP on the short. And that would put me in, still not a full-size contract, but a pretty good cost average on a full-size contract. Long wicks on the 5-minute, that's a pretty, I don't know what I think about that. That long wick there on that 5-minute chart. Right here. Pretty clear rejection of the downside. This whole trade is based on this level holding. All right, well, this might take a minute. Let's see what happens. Hey everybody. So I did record the ending of my trading session. However, my microphone was not plugged in correctly or something, because my voice is like Mickey Mouse voice on the playback. So I'm just going to quickly explain these trades, the last few trades I took, including the one that the video we were previously in and how that played out. So we shorted on the break of this trend line as price was coming down. Actually, we shorted here, anticipating it. We shorted here as price broke this trend line. We added to it as we retested the trend line. I covered right here, so we're actually in about 30 points of profit, and then price popped up. I saw this long wick here. Cumulative Delta was starting to form bullish structure. Meaning that cumulative delta, you can do technical analysis on cumulative delta like you do in charts. As price came down, cumulative delta actually made a new higher low and started to move up. So made a low and then it made a higher low. And that's an indication that's finding some support. We also had a bullish candle on the 5-minute chart, which I can throw up right here. It was right over here. This thing up the screen. It was this bullish candle here on the 5-minute. And so I decided to close out of the position here. It did eventually come up and then roll back down. This would have actually not hit my take profit. My take profit was at 608, I think. And this came down to like 609. So I would have gotten stopped down in this trade. So I'm glad I covered when I did. Then I switched over to back over to minis, and I took a quick scalp. You can see it right here. I took a quick scalp as we came back to that level of resistance that we drew out in pre-market. We saw this consolidation around it. I saw Delta beginning to drop, and I took a scalp right here, and I got out. I covered right at the 20 SMA on the 1-minute, which I thought might be support. So that was right around that 50 level too. So that was and then I took another quick scalp over here, and I did that because my P&L, which is over here, was 666, 666. And I was like, man, I cannot have 666. So I took a quick scalp for $20 just to not have that number stare. I'm not religious or anything, but I was like, man, this can't be a good sign to go into a Friday with 666 P&L. So we took that quick scalp. Coming up to our second level of resistance here. It'll be interesting to see what it wants to do here. I think this is a key level. You could try to take a scalp here as well. I don't know if I'm going to do it or not. I think I'm going to call it a week. It's looking like some shorts are getting squeezed out, or at least shorts are covering to go into the weekend, and it's just popping up a little bit. There probably is a scalp here to take, to be honest. But I think I'm probably going to sit on my hands and go do something else. I appreciate everybody watching, viewing, especially I know I took a break over the summer, so I really appreciate all the positive feedback that everybody's given me coming back. I am planning to make videos like I used to, more on the regular. Now going into the fall, my kids are going to be back in school. I've just got more time, more flexibility to do that. So yeah, I really appreciate people coming back and tuning in. If you got any value out of this, if you find this somewhat interesting, I would really appreciate a subscribe and a like to the channel. Hopefully we can continue to grow the community. Yeah, I hope you guys have a great weekend. I will be back again next week. See you then. Bye.